As Walmart misses on guidance, the whole market freaked out yesterday and everybody ran for the hills. What everybody thought was safety was actually another speculative trade. And healthcare and oil found some level of importance in the world as Trump starts going crazy and says that Ukraine is to blame for the war on Russia. The world keeps getting crazy, but don't worry. We'll get you there. We'll help you figure out whether we go higher or we go lower. These are our opinions, so make sure you listen and give us your comments down below because we are going to be talking about crypto and Ethereum, what the market sentiment is there. Is the defense trade over? I don't think so. And most of my co hosts are definitely in agreement with me, or I guess we'll find out. So make sure you stay for the whole episode. So, first things first, right? I want to know what happened with the fundamentals trade, with this defense stock of Walmart. The American economy, you know, suddenly collapsed yesterday because Walmart, the baby of the stock market, well, I mean, not the baby. I would say like the stronghold of the stock market has now collapsed. And I want to hear your thoughts, Dimitris, because this is big. We're seeing Walmart move like it's crypto right now. Bitcoin is moving nothing compared to what Walmart did yesterday. So I want to know why.
So, hello everyone, and glad to be back on the show. I missed last week. Hello, guys. And so, Walmart, so it's interesting. Out of context, it's exactly what you said. It took a hit yesterday, but let's put everything in context and explain the setup getting into yesterday's earnings. So, the price to earnings yesterday was 42%, by 42 times, if I'm not mistaken. So that's a valuation for a tech company, not for a retailer. But the reason was of the strong performance quarter after quarter leading to the earnings. And the earnings come, earnings per share beat by 2%. I believe the top line, the bottom line barely missed, but that wasn't the problem. The problem was the guidance. So the guidance was a bit conservative and justified, in my opinion, because there's so much uncertainty in markets at the time with Trump, with trade, Ukraine, politics, the Fed. So Walmart did what Walmart does and it gave a conservative outlook, and the market lost it. And when the market saw that even Walmart can take a hit of a 6%, then everyone is a fair game. Okay, if they do that to Walmart, then everyone else is open to that. And then we saw J.P. Morgan down 5%, Goldman Sachs, the Dow was down 570 points at some point, and then you saw ExxonMobil being up 2%, healthcare. Every healthcare stock except my stock, except UNH, which is taking a beating today, by the way, just as we speak in the pre-market. So that's what it was. It was Walmart. And for the people not familiar with Walmart, just in case they're not familiar with how the Americans are operating, Walmart is the safety not just in the stock market, but for the consumer. When things get tough in the economy, people go to Walmart. I was in the US, I remember. When you don't have enough money to get you to the week, you go to Walmart because everything is cheaper there. And it's for the low-end consumer. And the low-end consumer always will go to Walmart to shop and not to Target. Costco, you have to pay the membership, so you can't just walk into the store and buy anything. So the Walmart is the only choice. And as we get into the third year of the bull market, and you know that bull markets don't last forever, you want to get into safety a little bit. That was my plan. I have Walmart like the last 2 years, but as we're getting into the middle and the later parts of the bull market, I want to have safety in my portfolio, so I won't get killed in a bear market or a recession. And yesterday I was surprised as most, and we took the hit.
Oh yeah, it was definitely something that tells me that the market might be pricing in this perfect world where everything is growing like crazy and you're not able to even doubt the future because of AI
Hmm.
and no matter what happens we're going to have 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 x earnings growth, so it's okay, relax. But then all of a sudden you get a reality check which is like, hey, we're going to be conservative, we're still growing, we're still expected to actually outperform, but we need to come down a little bit. Also, I think we need to take into consideration it was, well, the Trump comments on Ukraine and the Ukraine tensions and the Israeli Hamas tensions are also creating, the geopolitics are creating a little bit of uncertainty, which last week we sort of had this hope that everything was going to be resolved, that Trump was here to take
Hmm.
over and there was not going to be any more wars. So that's something that definitely we have to discuss. We'll leave it for a little bit more like later, but I mean, this, it seemed yesterday, and the market seemed to agree by the end. We pretty much recovered, and we're right now sitting in the greens today. That yesterday was a buy the dip opportunity. There
Hmm.
was, I think Walmart pre-market was sitting a negative 10%, which for Walmart is
Hmm.
outrageous. But I also want to talk about with Mimi a little bit, and we're gonna leave it for like a little bit later. But it's understanding. I want to understand what, because Mimi has a massive community, and I want to understand what her sentiment on Bitcoin and Ethereum is, because something seems to be boiling. Like the momentum is coming back. We found that floor at 95K, and we just don't go under it. So now I'm hoping that Bitcoin starts to heat up, heat up, heat up, and continue to go up. But so cool. One thing I want to talk to you about, and it's in terms of Walmart, Dimitri. So right now, one of the things that has me actually a little bit scared talking about that perfection market
Hmm.
is the PE ratios. PE ratios for a lot of companies. I think we are sitting at pretty high levels
Hmm.
in the S&P 500. The PE Shiller index is actually at a very high levels, similar to the 2001. So the question is like, what's happening here? We're talking about perfection. Do we see a correction in the near future? Is that something that you're evaluating?
Um, so after the 22 bear market, multiples have expanded in 23 and 24, and we got, I believe, today is around 22, 23 times forward earnings. So we are at the highest levels that we've seen prior of bear markets of 2001. I think 2007 wasn't that high, but in 2001 for sure. So the multiples have expanded significantly, and they're not going to go any higher from there. So the earnings have to carry the load going forward. And the earnings come, and when the company doesn't give you like a great, very, very positive forward guidance, then that's what we're going to get. You're going to get reaction from the market, like we did yesterday. Am I worried? A little bit. So that's why I'm trying to put more safety in my portfolio, but at the same time outperform. So you can't just go all tech. But at this moment, tech, I'm talking about the Max 7, with the exception of NVIDIA and Meta, they haven't gone anywhere. So I was busy buying a bit of those, Amazon, Microsoft, and Google. So try to rebalance everything. Um, but to answer your question, yeah, those high multiples, price to earnings ratios that we have seen lately have me worried just a little bit.
Yeah, the only way we can justify price to earnings ratios at this levels is for companies to continue growing the way that they have been growing, because
Yes.
we have seen growth. The question is like, whenever we see that plateau, and I think that was the thing that scared markets yesterday, that we could potentially be getting that plateau. I don't think we are just yet, because the American consumer seems to still be okay. We have to wait for data to come in, but the Fed seems to believe that the economy is in a strong place. That's the reason they're keeping interest rates high. The job market is still holding, and AI is actually increasing productivity in many sectors, as we can see with companies like Palantir, companies like even DeepSeek, even the DeepSeek team, and how they were able to just like create something from nothing and compete due to the advances that we have seen. So
Yes.
Yeah, I wanna pivot a little bit, and I wanna like get your thoughts on this, because I know that your community, you are the crypto people, and the crypto people are you. So I want to understand, like, what is this sentiment? Because like I'm every single time I go in one of your posts, I see that people are freaking out, even though we're sitting at Bitcoin levels at 95K. Like, people are panicking. Like, what is happening here, right? Like, I've seen crypto go from 60K to 10K. It's like, and that's just another Tuesday on crypto. But you know what, like this is just consolidation in my opinion. But what are your thoughts? What do you see in the market right now? How are
Mm.
people behaving, new investors? Because with crypto, I think we got to step away from the fundamentals, but more into sentiment and the psychology of it. So
For sure. I mean, like there's a lot to unpack, and it's been a while since I've been on here, but I'll try and keep it short as usual. Look, at the very moment, in terms of a phase like this, where it's quite frustrating for everyone. I think the last time I spoke to you guys, like everyone was already frustrated, but every day I look at the sentiment, I look at the psychology. Look, the charts make sense. That's if you want some logic, you go to the charts, you go to the technicals. It makes sense. It's pointing a breakout to the upside. It's like it's pointing there, and it just can't quite get there, right? And so there's a bit of hope, and a bit of life, and then it just comes back down. Ethereum. Obviously, we're all looking at Ethereum again to lead alt season. So rallies for like 5% or so. Everyone's like, this is it, this is it. I'm looking at it. I'm like, like for me, I still think that at that time when I was looking at it like a week ago, after max capitulation, which was 2 weeks ago, I just thought, looking at all the platforms, looking at the sentiment, it's still yet to peak in terms of max fear. I think that we're pretty much there. We're pretty much there because everyone, even people who have been in crypto for a while, is just shouting, no alt season, bear market. We're going to go down to, we could go down to 80K levels for Bitcoin, but if it does happen, my thoughts are it will be very, very short-lived. Sorry about that noise. It will be very, very short-lived. And so I still think that Bitcoin will hold very well above 90K. So with sentiment, we are there at the peak. And when we're at the peak, and I've said this before recently, is that when you see experienced crypto traders, even at fear, uncertainty, doubt, that's when there's going to be a huge turnaround very, very soon. And just before we started this episode, I got a few messages that the SEC has dismissed their lawsuit with Coinbase, which is huge. It's huge. I wouldn't be surprised to see Bitcoin above 100K today. I mean, it's at like 98K levels at the moment. And we see like FET, there's life in FET, there's life in Ethereum. Ethereum's about like 5% or so when I was looking before. Everything, there's some life. Look, I still am forecasting the end of February, give or take, for potentially alt season to take off. But that's just give or take. But the sentiment is peak fear, and it's just like a little bit of something and then nothing. So that's kind of where everyone is at. And right now, and like I was saying, in this phase, the technicals mean nothing right now. You've got to look at psychology to really understand what's happening in the markets. Institutions, countries, big money, they're all quietly accumulating. We're looking at wallets, like action there. Big money are accumulating. So if we want to succeed in this space, we've got to follow big money, and we've got to join the circus, is pretty much I said recently.
yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting that you say peak fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Because even this happened with the Nvidia rally, right? Like when the Nvidia rally first happened, all of a sudden it was like all eyes went to Nvidia, and everybody was like, "Vroom, we need to buy this asset," and you see the asset class just to the roof. But then next thing you know, it's like, okay, like what is next? And then you see that diversification into other classes, other like AMDs, the SMCIs, the HPs, you see all of these different companies that start getting a little bit of that euphoria rally, and then you see all of a sudden it's like, okay, everybody's kind of getting tired of AI right now. Like the market gets fatigued, right? And I think we're at that point. We're at those levels where everybody's so fatigued. But then the thing is like this times of consolidation allow for the market to, okay, let's just, recuperate a little bit, let's relax a little bit. And all of a sudden you could see the next euphoria phase enter the market because people are willing to say, okay, AI is next. Okay, where are the traders moving the capital? And then all of a sudden Bitcoin seems to start, like, now that we've had all of the news, all of the like Trump is in power, we have the crypto state, we are seeing the deregulation of the crypto assets. We're potentially going to start seeing money start moving back in as we get a little bit more clarity, which I think with Trump, it ended up happening the same thing. The first couple of weeks during the Trump presidency, tariffs, everybody 100% tariffs, here we go. But the reality was, like, he's looking to, like, a group of friends calls it the pissing contest, of Trump. He always comes in and he's like, okay, but that's the way that, he's New Yorker. He likes to make deals. He needs to be in the attack all the time. So that's what I see right now, right? In those markets where potentially Trump is starting to come in, that uncertainty was peak. But now I agree with you. Like, we are hitting that peak uncertainty, and the markets up from here are continuing to rally. Because that takes me to the third sort of idea here, and I want to get, like, your point of view, which I think we all agree on this. But it's whether you think, it's like, do we see a recession in the horizon, or is this a buying opportunity to potentially, like, start getting, with the volatility that we're seeing, start getting into the names that we really like? Because I heard a little bird told me that Mimi's considering of entering Walmart at this level, yeah. So the market boss is telling me, So who wants to take this? What do you guys think? What is your overview heading forward?
I would love to hear Mimi thoughts about Walmart, and then I go.
Obviously I'm no expert on Walmart. I don't own the asset, but I do have discussions with Dimitri, he's very aggressive on Walmart and a lot of other assets. So for me, I've said before that with crypto, I'm trading the cycles. I won't sit through a bear market and hold positions. My strategy will change, and I will still ensure that I'm in line with the whole theme of the portfolio, which is forward-thinking, technology, future, but also need to choose and invest in stocks and assets that will survive an economic downturn. So Walmart is definitely up there, as Dimitri said before. When things are tough, Walmart does well. And look, Walmart, I'm told as well, is getting into AI. AI is a huge area that I want to invest in. So it will be a good balance for me, and I think it makes a lot of sense to include Walmart. And obviously the price was very high, has been very high for a very long time. Dimitri, correct me if I'm wrong, but then obviously there was a huge pullback yesterday. So I was like, is this a good opportunity to get in? And I think Dimitri could definitely answer that question for someone like me who doesn't have it yet.
Yeah, that's a different perspective for me to answer, because for me, like, I bought a dip yesterday, but considering that I'm sitting on a 50-60% and unrealized gains on it, so it's a different perspective for me. Yesterday, you could dip your toes a little bit and just start getting into it. But Walmart, I think the last 3 recessions of the US economy, I think, outperformed. So when you get a recession and everything goes down, because every single stock earning will be examined like you have no idea, Walmart is going to deliver. So that's a trade-off. Are you gonna spend a little bit more now because it is expensive? It's not cheap compared to 12 months ago. But you get the safety in times of trouble. And when you are in a bear market and everything goes down every single day, it's nice to have a couple of positions that they don't go down and they actually go up. So to answer your question, if you want to dip your toes a little bit and just add 1% or 2%, maybe today is a good day.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Like, that's the thing, it's like a portfolio is, I always like this quote from Dimitris, which was What was it? Tell me, don't tell me what you believe, show me your portfolio.
Mhm.
You know? And it's
Yes.
interesting because like some like when it comes to sort of like that uncertainty and like, okay, maybe we're at prices that are like a little bit expensive, like learning how to sort of like start diversifying the portfolio a little bit and potentially not get the 100, 200x, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
But maybe getting one that is like a 5x, you know, 6x, you know, it's like, because that's, you know, like the reality of the markets, right? Like we choose individual assets because we're expecting to outperform the overall market. Otherwise we just buy the S&P, right? So
Mhm.
now the question is like, are the current levels sustainable? Is that something that potentially, you know, like could it be? And I think right now we're potentially finding that sort of like sideways momentum where it's just like, okay, like let's reassess, let's figure out who the winners are, who the losers are in this market, and then we're gonna see that market continue to rally, but potentially, like, you know, it's like not at the rates that we have seen it. I mean, like the S&P 500 last year did what, 23% returns,
Mhm.
you know, and that's okay for a year or two, you know, but the overall markets we are expecting at 10, like, you know, it's like when I first entered the markets, I was like, look, if I can get a 12% return year on year, I'm more than happy. You know, I've exceeded those expectations, and lately it's been fantastic, which tells you with a little bit of research you are able to do that. But it takes time, it takes effort, it takes things. So, you know, like even diversifying, that's another episode that we did with what I did with yesterday with Timothy and Akeem. We did a, like, you know, like how do we understand risk, how do we understand like position sizing and take profits and stop losses, how do you analyze your portfolios, how do you analyze your positions and all those different things, which I need to have with you too, by the way. So one of these days we need to have an episode where we're just going to break down on the way that you guys look at your portfolios and the ways that you analyze and like your own trading strategies, and how do you analyze a company, how do you break it down, how do you end up taking the risks that you want, you know? Because yeah, that's an episode to come, so make sure you subscribe, you know, if you're watching.
So we need
But yeah,
an hour for that. I'm joking.
well, we went for, I think we went for 40 minutes yesterday,
Oh
you know.
gosh.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And Akeem was like, no, no, no,
Mhm.
Nestor. You know, in very Akeem fashion. But yeah, anything else you guys would like to add? What are you seeing in the markets right now? What trades are you paying attention to?
I have a couple of takes, one for the Ukraine and one for the Fed, if you don't mind.
Perfect. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Look in the big picture. So obviously, we know that the U.S. and Russians, they're sitting in Saudi Arabia trying to figure out how to end the conflict, and Ukraine is not at the table at this time. I'm sure they're going to end up just for the signing after everything is agreed upon. Unfortunately, as it is, I don't have an opinion here, but that's how it's going to work. And the reason is, based on what I'm reading, is that so the U.S. currently has two wars being involved. Is the Ukraine, okay, which is not, they're not really involved, but they are like, but they're supplying the weapons and the money for Ukraine to keep fighting, and the Cold War 2.0 with China. So the Cold War with China, Trump started like 8 years ago, and the war in Ukraine, Biden started in 2022. So the way I see this thing going, based on what I'm reading, is that Trump doesn't want to waste any more resources on the Ukraine thing. Okay, he's going to figure this out. They're going to find a solution. Ukraine is going to take a hit. Whatever. I mean, they're going to have to come to an agreement what they're going to return and where the lines are going to be. And Europe is going to pay for the security, unfortunately. So the US can concentrate on one front, just on China. Okay, you can't hold Taiwan and Ukraine at the same time. You're gonna have to choose one.
Yeah.
And China is much more important for the US for global supremacy. So if push comes to shove, they choose to fight in Southeast Asia, not in Europe. So that's the war thing. And the Fed, I did a post yesterday, which based on the Fed minutes, they announced that they're thinking about pausing the QT in the second half of 2025, which I think is going to happen because the debt ceiling is approaching, and it's not a good move to just doing the QT at the same time, the volatility from the debt ceiling. And I'm expecting more cuts than what the market is expecting this year. So the
Oh,
expectation
really?
is 2 cuts. I think we're gonna get more because the market always prices the worst case scenario or the best case scenario. So last year was 6 cuts and we only got 2. So this year we're waiting for 2. We're not gonna get 6, don't get me wrong, but we're gonna get more towards the end of the year, okay? And because being so much higher above neutral, it puts a lot of stress on the economy. People don't realize that, but it's a lot of stress on the economy, and the Fed is not going to risk getting into a recession and then going all over again with QE and rates at 0. So the first chance inflation goes down a little bit, cuts are coming back into the table, and QT is stopping. And once they stop the QT, they're not going to start it again. It's a one-time deal. So that's my take. That's my opinion, by the way. I'm not financial advice, like Mimi says. Not the financial advice, just
Financial
my 2
advice.
cents.
Like there are so many variables that are changing, like I heard this from an analyst lately, and it was like, whoever tells you that they know what Trump's gonna do, like nobody has a clue, right? Like
Yes.
nobody knows what you're gonna wake up tomorrow, right? So what Trump said or he didn't say or he insinuated, like, I mean, like we were talking about hotels in Hamas, like in Hamas territories, you know what I mean? Like, okay, so it's like, if I had to make a bet at the start of the year and say, hey, like, do you think we're gonna get a Hilton resort in Palestine beaches? Like, no. Like, I would have told you, but now that's something that's even being discussed, right? So that uncertainty's still there, right? That uncertainty is still there, and that's why, being subscribed to the Market Bus is important, just to keep up to date with all of the news. We also, I just want to say, like, Zach Christow, man, he's the first viewer of the channel, so bam. So like we're live, and I posted it on Mimi's Telegram. So yeah,
Amazing. Sorry, just one person.
yeah, more than enough. Oh wow, but yeah, but
I'm curious to see what a portfolio worth of 30% Walmart, 30% Bitcoin, and 30% Nvidia would do in the next 12 months.
You know what I was thinking? Like one thing I saw, a big YouTubers, like big YouTuber guys, they did, like, they grabbed the $10,000 portfolio and they break it down into like you have to break it down into 10% positions, and then they're going to evaluate at the end of the year who won.
Yes.
So you're able to choose, but then the funny thing is that you're not able to have the same assets. So if one person picks Nvidia, nobody else is able to pick Nvidia. So that way you don't have any, like, it was like cool.
So the one that goes first basically is going to pick up the best portfolio, and the rest of it.
Because everybody gets one choice. Everybody gets one choice. Okay. So it's like one, like almost like like picking the fantasy football teams.
Yes.
Sort of thing. So it's like, but with stocks, it'll be like with stocks and crypto.
Choosing place at the playground.
When is this going to happen?
I'm throwing the idea out there because I think it'll be fun, and I would be like, even consider, like, if we were to do it, like we can say, and like I'm even down to give the winnings to, because they're giving the winnings to charity. Any profits that are made, charity.
So pick an asset.
I'm down for that.
And see which one performs the best.
Yeah, it's like we choose, right? We choose so we would like have a stream where we make an Excel, and we just pull a random number for everybody, and then we start picking, like, one stock, one asset, one thing.
I could pick Ripple.
Yeah, you could pick Ripple, you know what I mean? Or I could pick Nvidia as my first choice, and then somebody else can pick, like, like, I thought Akeem was like, like, gonna be like, 1 year treasury, 2 year treasury, 3 year treasury, 4 year but it turns out that Akeem is more degen than a lot. Like, he has 30% crypto. Did you know this? He's 30% crypto. I feel What
Yeah,
have we
he
done?
It's been very surprising. It's been very surprising.
You know, but it'll be super interesting to do that, you know, like just for the fun of it, and then give the money to charity, you know, like whoever the winner is gets to decide where the money goes, sort of thing.
No,
I think that'll be like a cool experience, you know, but
for
something to consider for the future. But yeah, to keep everybody engaged. But yeah, I think we've touched on all the points, you know.
Mhm.
Anything else? Any questions? We have 3 people watching right now,
I mean,
you know.
I mean, I would just end with like, just remember that, top's not in with for crypto when we're in like peak fear. Peak fear doesn't mean top. Top means
Yeah.
euphoria. So we're far from there, and
Yeah.
that moment will come. And there's life in the markets today. Um, I would still be very conservative, not call alt season, of course. But with, again, I said SEC, Coinbase dropped. So next we'll see like SEC dropping XRP lawsuit, and that could possibly be the big catalyst. But we'll see.
I think so too. As Mimi called it on this episode, you know, and we keep calling it like really good trades, you know. But the Bitcoin sitting at 99.4 and it hit
Mm-hmm.
99.6, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what you gotta pay attention, you know. It's like I think like Akeem yesterday was like 2 days ago, he was like, what stock you wouldn't invest in? And I was like, Carvana. I would stay away from Carvana. Carvana down 13% yesterday. Bam. You know.
That was a momentum trade that unfolded because of Walmart again. Like, I mean, if you hold in Carvana, and when did they report earnings?
I think they reported yesterday. I think
they reported
they.
yesterday.
Let me check. Carvana.
And they also gave, if I'm not mistaken, they gave a conservative outlook as well.
Let me have a look. I'm not sure if it was yesterday actually. I don't have it.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
the momentum trade took a hit yesterday, like big time. Like Palantir was down a lot yesterday. And the only thing that was positive yesterday, other than energy and healthcare, a bit of tech. I think a bit of Google and Microsoft was not Apple. No, Apple wasn't. But the quality was up yesterday, besides Walmart and my banks. Whatever I owned yesterday was in the red, like big time.
So what are you seeing? Because you mentioned what was the stock that you talked about?
UNH.
What are your thoughts on that?
So UNH is the largest healthcare provider in the United States. Okay, it doesn't get more quality than that. I think it is more quality than Walmart. Okay, and it performs great in the bear market. It is a traditional compounder until I invested in it like a year and a half ago. Since I joined the party, then it hasn't been any party since then. But today, I'm checking the pre-market and the stock is down 8%. I'm like, what happened? And then I'm looking through the news and I can't find anything. And then just before we joined, I saw that the Department of Justice is probing UNH for the pricing. I didn't read the details because I was going to get on the video. But basically, the Department of Justice is probing UNH. And that's all the market needs to react. And until that time, I was looking, it was like 12% down in the pre-market. What is it now?
Let me have a look.
It must be up there. Just a big hit.
It's incredible that you're seeing, like, it's like it tells you that the market seems to be looking for an excuse to sell. Minus 12% right now, sitting at 440.
Jesus,
441.
the largest component of the Dow.
Yeah.
I mean, people don't understand that, but in order to make it to the Dow Jones, you have to be quality of quality
Yeah.
to get you on those 30 companies. Okay.
Yeah, they're called the diamonds of America.
Yes, that the blue chips are blue chips, and if they take a 12% in the pre-market, then you know it's a shit show. Okay, and it's going to be interesting. Unfortunately for me, I'm holding it today. And one more thing, I was aggressively buying UNH in the last few weeks. And yesterday I'm watching CNBC, and my favorite analyst, Stephanie Link from Hightower, she's a regular contributor on CNBC. She said, I bought UNH today because it's quality and I'm going to keep buying. And then this happened today. So
Yeah.
it happens to all of us.
It'll be interesting to see whether this actually can be sustained throughout the day, because I mean, like, this is pre-market, low volume pre-market. So that's
Yes.
maybe a big seller had to come in and say, okay, I don't even want to be a part of this.
Yes.
But then we could potentially see a move like Walmart's yesterday. I mean, where's Walmart sitting based on yesterday's move? Right? Like, if we evaluate Walmart right now, let me have a look. So Walmart is sitting at 97. So it's still sitting at those lows, but it's sitting at that bottom of the range. You know what I mean? Like, it's definitely following an upward channel. I mean, it's as long as it respects that 97 level.
You see, the Walmart thing, I don't care if it took a 10% hit yesterday, because I knew it was like the the conservative outlook, which what the management supposed to give in times of uncertainty. Okay, but the DOJ probe, that's a different thing. Okay, if they find fraud, the stock is gonna get cut in half.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be holding a stock like that. And I don't like my hand to be forced to sell it. I like to decide when to sell, not to be forced. So that's what I'm upset about.
Yeah, that's one of the things we talked about yesterday. You know, it was like whether, like, I asked this question to Akeem and Timothy, and it was like, are you a stop loss guy?
I'm not a stop loss guy. I'm not a TP guy. I'm not a take profit either. I want to make a decision. I don't have 200 assets in my portfolio, and I lost count of what I'm doing. I only have like 19. So if I'm not on top of them, then what am I doing?
Okay. Yeah,
I mean,
we're all in the same boat. Yeah.
It's each to their own. Like, everyone's got a different strategy. But like, for me, I'm not a stop loss girl either. But you've got to really, I keep saying, like, if you've got to pivot with what's happening around the world. So even if you have a take profit, level, then what's actually happening? Could there be more really bullish catalysts coming out? And so you've got to roll with the world and how it's changing and evolving. And so it's really can't be black and white in terms of take profit and stop losses. That's my opinion, not financial advice.
Yeah. Like, I was talking about, like, there is a case for people to put buy stop losses and, like, buy orders and all these different things. Like, if you're, for example, like, I did an episode with a friend, and he's like, yeah, so sometimes I put a crazy buy orders. Like, I'm just like, yeah, in Bitcoin, like, I have a $50,000 limit order.
That's different. Yeah, that's different. You put the extremes. I did the other day. I think I put a 25% discount, a 25% drop of CrowdStrike. I put an alert, not a buy order. I put an alert. So I want to make the decision of buying. But yeah, that I do. But the notion that you're gonna select a portfolio and you're just gonna be everything automatic, stop losses and take profits and all that, and you're not gonna do nothing, that's fantasy land. Okay.
Especially in crypto as well. Those like massive, like really quick, like wicks down that just like completely can liquidate,
Yes.
leverages. But it's just it's ludicrous to think, like, just my opinion, but it's just ludicrous to think you would put a stop loss for crypto when you have, Ripple, for example, like, fell to $1.80, went at $2.20 or something like that, bounced right back up, liquidated so many positions. But if you had that position and it liquidated you, oh my gosh, you'd be so mad because it bounced back in 10 minutes. So
yeah. My friend told me he was like looking at Ethereum when it reached 2,200, and he was in the car, and 5 minutes later it was back to 2005. Like, it's like, so all of a sudden it's like you're seeing, like, because that's the thing, a lot of people think that assets just go up, but in the reality is that the more money you're making on an asset, the more volatility is expected from that asset. So the more crazy moves, because again, it goes down to the psychology and how people trade and what price did you buy at what price did you sell, you know, all of these different things come into play. So I always like to, be like, okay, like let's sit down and evaluate. It's like, okay, like I'm assuming, for example, like Dimitri, like the thing, like I'm assuming today you're gonna be looking at that what's it called,
UNA.
UNH trade.
Yes.
Like I'm guessing that's what's on your desk,
Yes.
for the rest of the day.
Yes.
You know,
I'm going to be busy with it all day, and
let us.
if I read the coverage and I see it's more than it's more of overreaction than it should be, then I'm open to buy the dip, of course.
Well, let me know what you find out, because
Okay,
in this sector, I
let you know.
definitely,
I'll
yeah,
let you
yeah,
know.
yeah,
And
yeah,
you know
yeah, yeah.
what? I had it. I think it's my second largest position in the portfolio because it's defensive and growth at the same time, and it traditionally has been. And I think it was like 8% up in 2022 during the bear market. It was up 8% during that year. So you want some of those in your portfolio at all times. If you want to play offense and just have Tesla and Nvidia, I mean, you're going to do well, but in the bear market, you're going to get killed.
You're gonna
And
get the red years. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yes, and when you have like Kobe is copying you, you have to take that into consideration. So that's why my portfolio is set up. But today is going to be an interesting day. In 20 minutes when the market opens.
It is the truth. It is the truth. Mimi, what's on your desk? What are you
Well,
what are you trying to research next?
Well, I'm still deep into AI and gaming because also Elon Musk just came out with an announcement that he is going to pretty much focus a lot in that area as well. I need to fact check that, but look, the AI and AI and gaming sector narrative is going to be huge. And we're seeing a lot of AI tokens today doing really well. I mean, they fell a lot, so you're going to see those ones particularly going to rally quite exponentially. But that's still on the table for me. And I did an analysis on Avalanche recently. I love Avalanche, and yeah, that's what I'm
Avalanche.
focused on. Avalanche,
Yeah. Cool.
AVAX.
Cool. Let me know how it goes. Let me know how it goes. Because we're gonna post. Like, we gotta throwing those messages on Twitter. People tend to like it for sure. I think like the one that I'm paying close attention to. Well, next week is Nvidia stream for sure. For sure. I've got my leather jacket ironed and ready.
Are you doing a live stream?
100%. 100%.
I'm not missing
100%.
that. I'm
I
not
am.
missing that. The last one was great. The
Yeah, yeah,
last
yeah,
one
yeah,
was
yeah.
great.
Like I have to, it's like, and I have the potential. Like I want to talk to bears. I need to see this, because like the thing is, it's like everybody's saying Blackwell is selling better than expected. SMCI is expected to grow almost double, like 100% growth year on year, based on the new liquid cooled solutions that they're going to be providing for data centers. So it's like SMCI, I'm hoping that they are not lying about their numbers and they actually meet the deadlines, which is next week. So next week, Tuesday is SMCI, and then Wednesday is Nvidia. So it's like, bam. And then we have Mata earnings that week too. So I think it's like we have, yeah. Right now, it's like it's gonna be great. Next week's gonna be nuts.
I'm not missing. I'm not missing the live stream for sure.
It's gonna be great. I'm so excited. Nvidia to the moon. Nvidia to the moon. I think my target for Nvidia after earnings is 160. I think we can touch it. Which is like,
Okay, so how about this? So the earnings come and they're like great, above top and bottom lines by a mile. I say by a mile, you know what I mean in the context
yeah.
of Nvidia, and then they give a forecast like we can't make them fast enough and all that. Where the stock goes in the next month or two, it goes to 200.
I think it's just tricky, because the thing is so based on the earnings, like I think Nvidia touched the same earnings, like the same P ratio that Walmart had. Like it was actually at 30 or something like that, something nuts. Like it dropped when the 117 dropped, and then the question is like what can we expect? And Do I expect Blackwell to continue to grow? Yeah, I just don't like right now. Every single CEO has told you the same thing, which is like there is so much demand for the available supply,
Hmm.
and I just don't think that Jensen can let this opportunity go. Like the problem is like and this was sort of like a problem because
You
every
guys
single
hear a
time,
dog?
like, you
Apologize for
know, um, but I don't think Jensen can miss this opportunity, and I don't think he will. I don't think he will. I don't like I just they are already so well laid out, and I just don't see the downside yet. I just don't see the possibility of them selling any less chips. Like we saw Elon Musk with Grok 3 take over, and and it's like 200,000 chips together in a cluster, the biggest cluster there is, apart from Google's dual cluster. But
By the way, I don't want to interrupt you, but they might give a conservative outlook as well because they are in the middle of the trade war. Because the whole thing, the speculation is that DeepSeek had more NVIDIA
yes,
chips in it than what the Chinese told us. So,
yeah,
and following the DeepSeek, President Trump and Jensen Huang had a meeting in the White House, and we
yeah.
don't know what it was said. So factor that in for the outlook. And if he gives like a conservative outlook, even though he knows that they're going to have like a great year, I mean the stock is going to take.
The thing is one thing I tell you, and it was the DeepSeek shakeout was a good one because the people that had the crazy expectations of Nvidia got shaken out of their positions.
Yeah,
And I think that has been shown because every single time in the last two earnings that Nvidia has like actually exceeded expectations by what most analysts think. It's like, okay,
yeah,
we are always a quarter ahead in growth.
the stock went down.
The stock went down,
Stock went
because it's
down.
like we're expecting, like I want to be a year ahead, and it's like, bro, relax. Like, how many fab are created in a year? It's like 100 fab machines are
Two
created in a
years
year.
ago, 2 years ago, I don't remember. It was in the summer. 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, I remember one time after Nvidia earnings, the stock went up 30% in the aftermarket. It was 30% up in the aftermarket.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's when the
Well,
AI, when the AI, the data center
yes,
revenues started to grow.
yes,
It
yes.
was like nobody was expecting it. Nobody was expecting that AI, the data center revenue to
Okay. But
explode.
the flip side of a 30% upside in the aftermarket, it could be a 30% downside in the pre-market.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think so many people, because if UNH can take a 12% on the pre-market, Nvidia can take a 30%, no questions asked. So again, do you want to be holding like 50% of your portfolio in Nvidia? And I know you're not holding 50, but you're holding like a lot.
I'm
But you
holding a lot.
but you have convictions. Other
Yeah.
people, they might just holding it for the sake of holding it, and then with leverage and all that, that's how people get liquidated and
Correct. Yeah.
never recover from
That's
the markets.
correct. And that's where the risk analysis for personal portfolios comes in. So make
Yeah.
sure you watch that. Make sure you watch that video that just came out in our channel. We're gonna be pulling the cuts, but it's like, yeah, I mean, like it is, it's like, I mean, if you have $1,000, and like, and $1,000 is still a lot of money. So don't get me wrong. It's like I'm
Hmm.
talking about personal portfolios, but $1,000 position for me, like I'm willing for that to go to zero. I'm okay with that to go to zero. $10,000 position, like I'm willing to take a big hit on that, right? But if I'm putting 100% of my portfolio on Nvidia, and I'm using leverage to do it, where Nvidia could drop a 30%, and that's 60% of my total value.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's not. You shouldn't be investing. You should find a popular investor and just give him your money to
No,
invest to
I mean,
invest.
like, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
One of us, yeah.
one of us.
By the
Yeah,
way, Timothy's saying I personally sold UNH 2 weeks ago, in the chat. Yeah,
he said that.
yeah. So Timothy's out. Timothy's out. You
Okay.
buying back in, Timothy? Now I want to know. Now I want to know. We got him in the chat. We got a couple of every time. Mimi's community nuts. MVPs, guys.
Chris, how many people are watching? I actually don't know.
I think we touched on 5 people
Wow.
at some point. Like we peaked at 5, 6 people. Which
Nice.
for the second
We can,
stream of Market Buzz?
we'll take questions next time.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
I'm more than down to kind of yeah. Like
By the
do
way,
it with proper, like this one was a test one for
we are
sure.
up.
It's like
We are open to join your live stream after you finish with the NVIDIA earnings and after you do your show. We are open to join if you want us to give our thoughts, because it's going to be crazy. You know what? I'm going to do like a Fed event. I'm going to have like my schedule and everything all together. I'm going to stay home that night. And just wait for you.
I'm opening about the big boy. You know, it's freaking wow. Because like that's the beauty of it. You know, the research is done throughout the quarter, and then yeah. Oh, Timothy says if there's possible fraud, it's a no for me. Wow. Wow.
Okay.
The same sentiment, eh? So it's the same sentiment for you. Wow. Okay. Let me know this, because you know, like sometimes the DOJ likes to poke around and see if they can get some money. You know.
I mean, I understand that, but they're poking to a big company, and this is a new DOJ. This is like a Republican administration. So these people, they're not just going to go after the big players just for the sake of going like the Democrats. So that's what worries me. If the Trump administration behaves differently, it's not just politics for optics. They actually, you know, but. And Bill Ackman tweet like 2 weeks ago did not help the situation. But let's see what happens. And it's too late anyway. Like, I'm gonna take the hit today. I can't avoid it. So
yeah.
I'm gonna have to make a
Sometimes you
decision.
gotta. We are bouncing a little bit higher. Like from the 12, we're up a little bit, but it's pre-market too. So and it's not like
Yeah,
so we have to see. Let me know what your
I'll let you know.
yeah. If we need to do an episode,
Yeah,
you give me a call. We jump on the call.
yeah, for sure.
Well, thank you so much, guys. I'm gonna stop the recording. Have any more questions? Put them in the comments, and I'll make sure they get answered.
So Timothy just got on the chat so he can tell us that he sold UNH 2 weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
Really, Timothy? Really?
Really? Why are you not in the call? Why is he not in the call? I thought you had to go to work, Timothy. I thought you had to go to work.
I'm all by myself. I'm all by myself, Timothy.
But okay,
I'm gonna. You've been talking the whole time.
No.
I'm joking.
But okay, thanks so much for watching, everybody, and peace out. I'm gonna stop the recording, and then we need to wait a little bit for Timothy to, for Mimi to